Former Washington governor and U.S. Senator Dan Evans has died. The University of Washington, where Evans attended, made that announcement on Friday. The Republican first entered politics in 1956 when he was elected to the state legislature. He won the state's governorship in 1964 and was elected to 3 terms, a feat unmatched until current Governor Jay Inslee. He was an advocate for environmental protection, leading to the creation of the nation's first state Department of Ecology. Evans served in the Senate from 1983 to 1988. In a statement, his 3 sons said their dad, quote, lived an exceptionally full life. He touched a lot of lives, and he did this without sacrificing his family. Dan Evans was 98 years old.